Hey, coaches, welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip. It's been a minute. It's been since last year. I kind of took the holidays off, not really, took them off from making videos and worked on the manual, the system manual, the whole thing. Dude, it's going to be middle of January. And initially, I wanted to do it by Christmas, and I said about a month or so ago, I'm not going to make it snowman. And so I went ahead and bumped it to the middle of January to give me the holidays to work on it. Didn't get to work on as much as I want to, but I got a ton done. About 300 pages right now. Those are not like Charles Dickens pages, just one word after another. A lot of diagrams and such as that. And mainly I got to go back and just fine tune a few things here and there. I think I got in most of what we're going to get in. And it's going to be good. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget, buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip if you want to tip me, so to speak, give me a gratuity. And don't forget the podcast. Just dropped a new one this week. Coach Tom Walls, second time he's been on the podcast. First time we talked about his 10 steps to turn your team into a program. And I didn't get to talk to him about the differences between Canadian football and American football. So this time it's just us having a conversation. This most recent one, episode 31, talking about the differences. He sent me a list of things that were different. And understand, Coach Walls coached American football, grew up here in the States, got married. Eventually his wife said, hey, I want to go back home. They went back to Winnipeg. And that's where he lives, in the suburbs of Winnipeg. And he's coaching football up there with the differences. And guys, there's so many of them. They're not huge differences, some of them, but some of them really are. Some of them are pretty cool. We ought to consider doing them down here. Hey, don't forget to head over there to the podcast and check it out. Also, be sure to go ahead and like this video, because you know you're going to like it, and subscribe. Tell you what, let's get started. Let's talk about what we're here for today, the PreSnap read route. Now, I first got this several years ago at a clinic. I want to say it was Atlanta Glacier. And Coach Jeff Kelly, the head coach of the Saraland Spartans in Southwest Alabama, was speaking. And yes, that's Ryan Williams right there, the picture number one, the one that plays at Alabama. In case you didn't hear, he's 17. He'll be 18, I think, in a month or two, so they can quit saying that. A whale of a player. He coached him. Now, you say, well, Coach, it's pretty easy to do it. Well, he was pretty dadgum sporty. Went to a lot of finals in 5A and 6A before Ryan showed up there. So he's got some good dudes, and he's a darn good football coach. And I've seen him a couple times upset some favorite teams early on in the playoffs because of some of his cool concepts. Well, this one, the PreSnap read route, they call it Spartan, and I'm not speaking out of school here. He said that in the clinic. We just called it the read route. Much as I like cute nicknames and all that, we didn't come up with one for that. It was just a read route. And basically what it is 3 routes in one, and you decide pre-snap which one you want to run based on the leverage of the defense and what they're giving you. And that's all it is. Now, don't get me wrong. It ain't easy, but it ain't that hard either. If you got a kid that can throw a fade ball, a slant ball, and a hitch, he says, well, I ain't got a kid that can throw it deep. Well, if you're throwing the fade ball deep, you're throwing it wrong. It ain't supposed to be but about a 22-yard throw down the field. When you throw in the angles and the drop and all that, maybe 30. You ain't got a kid that can throw it 30 yards. Come on, man. If you can throw a fade, a hitch, and a slant, and you got a kid that can catch it, you can do this stuff. It's pretty daggum sporty now. I'm here to tell you, cuz. All right, the pre-snap read route, we used it always on the backside of trips. And I say always. We didn't start using it until a few years ago. And what made it make sense to me was we were already running the pre-snap slant on the jet. If this guy right here chased the motion on the jet or bumped into the box or bumped back to safety and they rotated over, we could throw the slant and pre-snap it. We didn't read anything on the jet. I know this isn't a jet, but I'm just telling you how we got started. And we also had built in smokes, which is what we called our now passes, our now screen, just catch it and throw it on them as well. I'm going to show you a couple of clips of it where the guy would just fast feet, show hands, quarterback would throw it out there. And we would do that, say it was buck left or whatever, or power left. It could be power right even. And we would tag it. And it didn't mean throw it. It just meant if they were playing way off, you could throw the smoke, throw the now screen, boom, right there. So we were already doing those two things. And this just made me think, why can't we just do this? Because we already have the hitch in. We already have the slant in. And Lord knows we had the fade in with those tall receivers. And so we just put this in. And we ran it like the last 3 or 4 years. And it's just a really good concept. And we did some things different. Coach Kelly had the receivers determine what to do, and his quarterbacks adjusted. He said, hey, they're throwing right here anyway. It doesn't take that much. But our quarterbacks are always pretty savvy. So we let the quarterbacks do it. And then, of course, we had the way to kill it. We had the green light and red light and all that kind of stuff that we could just say, kill it, just run it no matter what it looks like, just run it, especially when you're in your 4-minute offense and you don't want to throw it and take a chance on an incomplete pass. By the way, this is a preview of the system. There is an entire section devoted to the pre-snap read concept. And so what we would do, we would just let the court, we'd give him a signal saying, hey, read it. If it's there, take it. Or we'd give him a kill signal, which means no matter what, you run the ball. And so that way we were kind of controlling it, but the quarterback decided what it was. And we had signals for that, real simple signals. And we did them all the time. Even when we had the kill on, the quarterback would look out there and give a signal to the receiver. And you can see from time to time, like I'd ask the quarterback, I said, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm just giving them signals. So when I give them one that counts, the defense won't know. And that's just how smart our quarterbacks were. That wasn't Coach Chip. That was just them and their daddy, the football coach, coming out of them. And so this is how we did it. And let's go ahead and look at it. All right, the pre-snap read route. Here it is. Here's the tree. Here's the tree. And it's just a little mini tree. It's kind of a Charlie Brown Christmas tree, if you will. There's not many limbs on it, and it's kind of twiggy and broken up. All right, everything was built around these three options. And it's just a magic. Maybe we should have called it 33 because there were 3 routes they could do and they took 3 steps. Outside foot, always back. So the first step is with the outside foot. 1, 2, 3. And if they're slanting, they push off that outside foot. And if they're hitching, they start bogging down, sinking their hips where they hitch up at 5. And if they're running the fade, they don't really need to push off. On that third step, they just bend out to the yellow brick road, the bottom of the numbers. And the quarterback throws that joker right in the hole. Remember, fade balls aren't bombs. But you can use that yellow brick road on all deep balls to the outside. All right, so looking at it one play at a time. And this is actually from the manual where I wrote it up. I'm not going to read all this to you. But let's look at each concept one at a time. All right, now this is the fade. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you, because I'm out of it and they're not running my stuff anymore, exactly my stuff anymore. So the fade ball, the quarterback would look over there. Anything to his helmet was the signal to run fade. Now, understand, he would tell that dude to run the fade, knowing good and fire well he was going to give it. So again, they didn't know when it mattered. But anything to the helmet, to the face, touching the helmet, and that all started with pretending you were running your hand through your hair on your helmet, because a fade is a haircut. And so it became anything on the fade was anything up top. Touch the face mask, touch your helmet, rub your helmet. That told the receiver to run the fade. You say, well, who knows who to do it? Well, it's built in. But it's always on trips. We even ran this concept on our rollout. So if it was a roll pass left, the lone receiver away from trips would run the read route. And you'll see that. I got a video of that. That's pretty cool stuff. So he would push off, he'd get that fade signal, get to the bottom of the numbers, and then could be back shoulder, or it could be a regular fade ball. And so that's the first option. It doesn't mean it's option number one, just I had to give one a number one designation. All right, the second option is the slant, and this is where it really matters, that backside foot being back. I used to think it didn't matter, but then I got to thinking about it. There'd be that one kid or that one DC that figured out, hey, their feet matter. And people, we were winning pretty big, and people were kind of teaming up on us and sharing a lot of stuff, how to beat us. And so we said, it's always got to be outside foot back, because you don't need to push off to run a fade, but you do need to push off to run the slant. So we had that outside foot back. So 1 with the right foot, the outside foot, 2 with the inside foot, 3 breaking it right here. And there's going to be a void in there, or the quarterback wouldn't have signaled for it. Another reason we let the quarterback do it. There's going to be a void. This would be like when that outside linebacker, you can barely see him right here, has bumped down on the line or into the box. He has no help. And if he's lined up inside, taking away the slant, if we want to, we can call the fade. So you see what I'm saying? We're going opposite their leverage, if we even do it. And we practice it a lot and didn't do it a lot. And you say, well, weren't you wasting your time? No, because we run hitches, we run fades, we run slants. We were getting reps at doing it. We just built it into that. And I'm going to show you Saraland running their drill that they did with Coach Kelly. So this was the slant. And then this is the hitch. Again, outside foot back, 1, 2, 3. If the hitch signal was given, he'd start sinking his hips on the third step, sitting down, showing hands at 5 yards. Now, the signal for hitch was anything belt or below, so the legs. Quarterback tugged, and this goes back to when we originally did hitch years ago. We would hitch our pants. And so then it became anything on the pants. Quarterback reached down and tug on his thigh boards, hitch his pants, rub his outside of his leg. All that told the receiver to run a hitch. Going back to the slant was anything around the shoulder area, S for shoulder, S for slant, and then it kind of graduated or evolved like chest. So the quarterback ran his hand across his chest like he was crossing his heart. That would be a slant, anything around the shoulder. So hitch, anything on the helmet area. Fade, anything up top in the helmet area, face mask, whatever. Slant, shoulder pad, chest area. Hitch, anything belt or below. Tugging on the pants or tugging at the thigh boards, all of that good stuff. I'm going to put this up here, and you can freeze it and screenshot it if you want to. But this is excerpted, easy for me to say, from the system manual that's coming out in a couple of weeks, or really in about a week now. January is just slipping away on us already. We're already a week into January. All right, the first great thing about this concept is that whatever route we run will be run to an open spot in the defense. As I mentioned earlier, the quarterback's not going to call it. Now, you can't do this if you don't trust your quarterback to be able to see the void, to be able to read leverage. You need to go back and look at the video, and I'll tag it in the description on leverage, how do you teach your quarterback leverage. The quarterback's not going to call slant if an outside linebacker is sitting in there. Okay, like if this S right here, up at the top, third diagram, if he's sitting back in here, apexed in a walkaway, we're not going to call slant. You try to just run the ball because he can't help out now. Okay. Another great thing, two other great things about this concept, it makes it easier for the offense to run the ball. It keeps the offense out of a bad call. So if you've called power right, and they're trying to lock down your one receiver, and they've got an extra guy in the box, well, you can use the read route concept to get into a better play, especially if that guy's walked down and he's in the box where he can't help on slant. Now, the receiver's got to help himself out. Remember, slants are adjustable routes. You don't run the same slant every time. So he can run that thing a little bit skinnier if that guy's underneath, walked up. And then the other great thing about it, you give your quarterback the green light to read the defense or kill or read the play. But if you're in a 4-minute offense, you don't want to do that. So you can do it whenever you want to. You know what I'm saying? You don't have, this is not built in where you're locked into it. You may just want to have it and have a signal to say, hey, read this, and it tells the receiver to do it. And I had the receiver do it every time, just so he gets in the habit of doing it. Also, you may get a twofer, a BOGO, that safety over the top trying to help. He can't get involved in the run. So there's several great reasons for doing this. And what do you need? A quarterback that can throw a hitch, a slant, and a fade. And again, I just told you a while ago, a fade ball is not a deep ball. Now, if you don't have a quarterback to throw a 30-yard pass, you need to be in the double wing. All right, let's look at some video. All right, now here you have one. We've got trips left. So this guy down here is running the read route. And this is before we put all of it in. Back then, it was just fade or smoke. We didn't have the slant built into everything yet. The slant was just built into the jet. But this will give you an idea of how you did it. This guy right here is about, he's 5 yards off. He's not too close. But what happened is either they had an injury or they moved some kids around and they bumped in a young corner. The quarterback had noticed it the play before. We've got Buck called, and you'll see it's Buck by the blocking, see? And the receiver released out on a fade, and we got a one-on-one with a 6'6" receiver and a guy that was probably about 5'6". So that's a win right there. And the quarterback called it. You can see everybody's blocking Buck. And so there's an example of getting yourself into a good play. Now, was Buck there? Probably. Was quarterback being greedy? Absolutely. All right, now here comes another one. This is this is on our rollout left. If you'll go back and look at the beginning of the play, the line will show you. They're blocking for our rollout left. Watch them. They're all going to turn their booties toward the camera. And the quarterback's supposed to roll to his left. But he pre-snapped it, and this guy either had a smoke or a fade, and he liked his chances. So instead of rolling out, and notice he said, well, they're not protecting for the quick game, coach. He's just going to catch it. He's going to catch it and throw it, guys. And so that doesn't matter. Because on the other ones, you got run plays called. That's what you catch and you throw. And by the way, there's no flash fake on the runs. Once the quarterback decides he's throwing the read route, it's whatever his operation is. If it's just a rocker step and throw, if it's one step and throw, it's whatever, no flash fake. He'll tell the running back, me. So the running back can carry out his fake and not hit the quarterback. Watch, I'll show you right here. See the space between them? And look, the running back didn't look back for the ball. He knew what was going on because the quarterback had told him before the snap, you can't see it on camera, he had told him, me, and the running back carried out his fake because he knew he wasn't supposed to get it. Quarterback said, me. He said, well, does the defense pick up on that? No, because we have them talk every time, like where they're supposed to be lined up. Sometimes it matters. Sometimes he'll cheat him up. Sometimes he'll move him over. Hey, you're supposed to be in stack, be on the same side as the H. All right, here it is. See, boom. He did a good job of looking off the DB. Watch him. He looks to his left. The quarterback does. Boom, real quick. Too much of a drop. He should have just one step and throw it. But he liked his chances over there, and we burned that kid. Now, this is the smoke. Look how far off the corner number 11 is. And look, everybody's blocking Buck again. See, the linemen have no clue what's going on. They have none. They're blocking their play. They don't need to know. It's the only people need to know is quarterback, the receiver, and of course the running back to stay out of the way. Watch the running back again. See, he knew he's carrying out his fake because the quarterback had said, me. Tells it that I'm going to keep it. Boom. And you're left one-on-one. Great tackle, by the way, by that corner. All right, now this is Saraland running their drill. And you'll see a lot of fades on this. But what they do, he said he does this every day of spring, every day of summer. And with every day of summer down here in Alabama and Georgia, that means even during the June and July, after weightlifting, conditioning, you get out there and throw it around. And he said they did it right up until week 3, game 3, that they would do this drill. And it's a great opportunity. The guys in white, they're the DBs. The guys in red are the offense. Great opportunity for the quarterback to get his throws in, for the DBs to get their press coverage and all their different coverage concepts, and also for the receivers to rep up either running the slant, the hitch, or the fade. And the way they do it, there's no communication. The way they do it is the receiver determines what to do. The quarterback takes a step, reacts to what the receiver does. That's not the way we did it. That's the way Saraland did it. And you'll see them. There's a few hitches and slants in here, I think. So there's your hitch. See, the quarterback's just going to take a step and react to what he's doing. There's another hitch. See, and you're just getting a ton of reps, one guy after another going, one quarterback. You got 4 quarterbacks going, got about 6 receivers going, looks like 7 or 8 DBs going. Don't ask me which one's Ryan Williams, because I don't think he was playing yet. This is probably about 5 or 6 years old. About the time I learned how to do it, this is when I saw this. You see, this is something you do every day. And it's not just for this particular concept. You're getting all of your throws in. You're getting a ton of your quick game throws in, your slant, your fade, and your hitch. Doing it this way, and you're just maximizing your reps by doing it this way. So I just think that's really cool stuff. All right, coaches, that's going to wind us up. Again, in about a week, as I do this, it's January 6th, 2025. If it's after that, there's a good chance it's already out. That is the system manual. Everything we did for about the last 20 years, I even go back the evolution of it, how we started doing it 20 years ago, tried to do it and was a miserable failure at it. And then gave it a few years off, kept studying it. And then a few years later, it's kind of like the opportunity met when we had the kind of kids that could do this, and we'd already been a wing T team at this place. And it just evolved from there. But it'd been something I'd been trying to do since like 2004, maybe 2005. And here we are 20 years later, and I'm doing a system about it. And we talk about the evolution of the system. And if you say, well, I'm not a wing T person, great, because it ain't wing T. Well, I'm not a spread person, great, because it's not spread. What is it? It's a system where you can use spread concepts, where you can use wing T concepts, or you can use whatever it is you use. If you're running what people jokingly call America's offense, everybody's doing that now with the sniffer back. This is perfect. So, well, I'm not a gap scheme guy. That's okay. There's zone in there too. I mean, it's everything we did. And you say, well, that's not an offense, coach. That's just, it's not an offense. It's a system. And what you do is kind of like these old school restaurants, like you see in really nice locally run restaurants, where you go in. We used to have an Italian place in South Alabama where you go in on a Friday or Saturday night. They had a card, had like 4 dishes on there. So I'd like the lasagna. No, we're out. They only made so much lasagna. Why? Because they want everything to be fresh and perfect. But they had a big thing in the back, a big list of what they would choose from. And they would just pick and choose what are the 4 things that we're going to specialize in tonight on the menu. That's what this is. This is the entire bag of tricks, so to speak. And then you go through it, and so much of it just complements each other. And how could we throw so many different pass concepts? Because the receivers only had to learn like 3 or 4 routes. Then you take those and put them into different combinations, and you got a whole bunch of possibilities. That's when you get into the idea of drawing stuff up in the dirt. As long as you're not doing something new, if you look over and say, hey, Bill, you run a slant. Hey, Jim, you run this. And they already run those routes. You can literally draw things up in the dirt when you do it that way. It's just basic stuff and just a way we figured out to make it fit. And that's all it is. And that's coming out real soon. Don't forget, go ahead and like the video, share the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Had a bunch of coaches over the weekend subscribe. I really appreciate y'all. By the way, I've got a weightlifting thing up for free. just give me a holler at siegel.chip@gmail.com. Look in the description below to get the email address if you don't already know it. I mean, I say it 100 times a video, it seems like. So until next time, y'all, be elite. All video clips contained on Football Talk with Coach Chip are meant for analysis, criticism, comment, teaching, and research by football coaches. We believe this falls under the fair use doctrine of the Copyright Act, Section 107.